How's it going, guys? And welcome back to another episode of Trailmakers Creations with me, your host, ThatDomGuy. Today we're going to be starting with this tiny little build. I thought it was kind of cool. I was trying to build a jetpack and it ended up building a packed jet. You'll see what I mean. So there is a seat in here. Let's go in first person. You can see there's a seat in here. We got some small thrusters and of course our helicopter engine spinning around like mad. Very few builds I ever build that don't have helicopter engines on them as stabilizers or steering. So a couple of small wings in the back here. You can see it's blue on top with a couple other small mini thrusters in the back here. Some little wings. Not a lot to this thing, honestly. So I was trying to build a little self-stabilized jetpack and ended up with, so I can boost up with space and it'll stay in the air like this. Right, so I have my seat steering and spacebar is my thrusters, so I can go up in the air and it'll stay automatically using our speed sensors to prevent us from falling. If I want to go down, I just kind of tilt forward like this or just fall over like this. See, and then we do some breakdancing moves. So we'll rebuild. So the reason why it's not just a jetpack, so see, you can get around just like this. You can lean forward. Way you go, you just tap your steering and whatever direction you want to go. Tapping your thrust. So you got your little jetpack to get you around wherever it is that you need to go. If you're traveling short distances, when you're getting there, you just kind of lean back a little bit. Those thrusters will kick in, slow you down. There's no reverse thrusters or anything, no steering, just seat steering. So this will take you here. But then, if you want to get somewhere decent speed and it's a decently far distance, we can just go like this and hit number 1. And then she just basically transforms out into a little jet. So see, we have a packed jet. We don't have a jetpack. We have a jet strapped to our back. So then we have this little tiny flyer that actually flies quite well. Again, those stabilizers take out the little tiny movements and make it easier to seat steer. And our left and right seat steering still works the same whether we're facing straight down, because we're down here. Hey, look at the ground. Right, and then we can just fold these up at any time. Just kind of hover, do our thing, take a look around, back into jet mode. So that was kind of fun, kind of cool. It's an interesting little build for as few parts as it does have. It works really well. It actually flies really easy. Again, not the greatest for landing. But, yeah, see, so you can always come in like this, and then switch back into jetpack mode. Oh, and slam right into the carrier like that. Perfect. Bingo. Nailed it. Alright, let's take a look at our next build, shall we? Alright, so our next build is a speeder bike. Yes, the Star Wars type speeder bike. This is my variation on it, my take on it. Kind of the same kind of concept. Except I decided to go with just 2 hover pads in the back, and then it has a single gimbal in the front that is just set to stay 1 meter off the ground. So it's not activated by anything, it just stays 1 meter off the ground, which is fine for holding up the front end. And we just have hovers in the back. As you can see here, we've got a couple angle sensors. Again, lots of mini thrusters, no full-size thrusters. Some stabilizers, we got some exhaust on the back here. Another angle sensor on this side. We got our little domed steering wheel, and again, there's those helicopter servos just spinning away. We got some pipe pieces here in the front. There's another small set of small thrusters in the front there in the center. And then in the front here, we have our helicopter engine for steering, and our gimbal up there, and our fins up here are for stability in the front, because we don't have a lot of weight up here, so it tends to drift a little bit. But we've also got our stabilizers running in there, so that prevents drift as well. So let's jump in. So you can see we have 2 hover pads in the back that are in line. And then just that gimbal in the front that is set up to a sensor that is always being blocked, so it's always on. So this thing can get up to 200k over land. It works really well. Doesn't like really big changes in altitude in land, but by angling left and right, you can actually slow your descent. So you can rip along on the ground like this. Again, you don't want to hit too steep. Ooh, see, or else you lose parts like that. So it was really tough getting the, and in the beginning here too, that you can just spin, and that gets your front end off the ground. The hover pads can only hold so much weight, so it was tough to try and find a balance between the amount of weight in the back and still the speed, but still be able to hold up that back end. So as you can see, it's just sometimes when you're bouncing a little bit, it just barely touches. Those hover pads will hold you up. And the nice thing with this as well is because they're hover pads and we're moving at a decent speed, we can just go, and we have our stabilizers on there to keep us nice and level. We can just go straight off the edge, and we will slowly drop down, still steer in the air, and we can just drop down to the water, and she works just fine on the water as well. As long as your nose doesn't go down in the water, you're all good. So here we are down to the water, and we're now hovering on the water with their speeder bike. So we've got some cosmetics back here. Yep, that works pretty well. We can go from the water. Let's see if we can go right over top of the dock, because we are hovering. So let's see if we can keep ourselves up and over. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Then again, we want to come up shallow on the land so that we don't break pieces off. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good speeder. You can totally see that zipping through the forest. Likes to be on level land. It can go up small hills and stuff, but if you start going up too high, then them automatic stabilizers will kick in and say, you're not doing that. Oh, come on, come on. So see, turning the back and forth like this actually slows your descent a little bit, so you don't come down quite so hard and directly, taking pieces off the bottom. It doesn't take very long to get used to driving this thing. Again, our open cockpit. Right out over the water. So it's almost a go anywhere as long as flat, over water, over land. Steers well. Well, that's one thing I've been wanting to build for a while, was a speeder bike. And this turned out pretty well for having 2 hover pads. Alright, let's head back to the carrier, take a look at our final build. Alright, so in the comments section, somebody asked if I could try and build an F-15, or something like a realistic jet. So I took a picture of an F-15 and took a look at it, and this is what I ended up with. Tried to build it as close as I could with the parts that I do have, and what I can do. As far as functionality, yes, the missiles on the side don't work, and no, the extra tanks aren't actually holding extra fuel. But it's as close as I could get it to actually looking like an F-15. So we have our twin engines out the back. We got our landing gear. We got some extra tanks, or spare tanks. We got 2 missiles on either side, which I believe are like Hellfire or Heatseeker missiles, Sidewinders maybe. And then the look of it overall is very similar to an F-15. With the cockpit going back down in the rounded area there, and then back to the 2 over top of your jets in the back. So we've also got a couple of hinges you can see here on our top stabilizing fins. The vertical stabilizers, those will angle out at 30 degrees once we jump in and hit the space bar. All our steering is with our back wings back here, which are, believe it or not, upside down. As we can see here, these wings in the back are upside down, and that is to not create lift in the back, because remember, lift in the back, front end goes down. So we want to keep the front end, or the back end, down in order to keep the front end up. See? So this is another way of keeping the front end up without adding tons and tons of wings out front, and being able to have this big section of plane actually out front without any wings out there holding the weight of it. So we'll just make sure that the rear end of the plane stays down, and that way we don't have to worry about the front end always dipping down, because we don't have enough wings in the front. So as long as we have enough power underneath, we should be able to stay airborne. Alright, so let's jump in here. The old space bar gives us our thrust. We'll pull up a wee bit. Just like this. Landing gear can go up with number 1. Kind of tucks away. And there we go. We are flying. I thought that was a pretty good looking jet. Flies pretty good. So you can see when it wants to go down, it wants to go down. But when you're flying level, see how it naturally wants to keep the nose up slightly, which is good. So you can always tap down like this. We have our turning A and D steering, obviously. Oh, and look how pretty it looks underwater. It's not a sub. You sure it's not a sub? It's not a sub. Trust me, it's not a sub. Oh! See, it's like one of them bad carrier videos. Oh, and drink. Blub blub into the water. So yeah, we can't take off that way. We don't have enough oomph to get over that hole. Oh, we can go this way. No problemo. Up goes the gear. Now there are 2 cannons on this thing and they're hidden. You can see right in here. I know it looks like it's coming from the back, right? I think it's just because we're flying faster than the bullets come out. But they are actually right there in those small angled pieces up at the front here. 1 block behind, so they don't shoot out the block that's directly in front of them, just in case you didn't know that. So you can actually hide your weapons. Alright, let's see if we can land this thing on the carrier. Big finale. So these builds will be available on the shop as of the time of this video. If you're ever having problems searching on the shop for any of these builds, you can just type in ThatDomGuy, one word, and I put that in all the descriptions, just so I know that it searches by keywords in the description. Oh, well, it's you know, not a pretty landing, but I'll take it. Nailed it. Alright guys, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a comment, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video. Ciao.